Okay, this is all about the greenhouse effect. First question, what is the greenhouse effect?
The greenhouse effect keeps us alive. Basically, some of the electromagnetic radiation from the sun reaches the Earth and is absorbed. The Earth then re-emits it as infrared radiation, which is also heat. Various gases in the troposphere, the lowest layer of the atmosphere, absorb some of this infrared radiation and then re-emit it in all directions, including back towards the Earth, and it keeps us warm, and that's known as the greenhouse effect. The main greenhouse gases are water vapor, carbon dioxide, and methane, and their molecules absorb IR radiation to make the bonds in the molecule vibrate more, and the extra energy is passed on to other molecules in the air by collisions, giving the other molecules more kinetic energy and raising the overall temperature.
Okay, thanks, Kazim. Franco, what would the world be like if there was no infrared radiation absorbed?
If there was no infrared radiation absorbed, there would be no use for the greenhouse gases, and then this would cause the Earth's temperature to fall below 35 degrees Celsius and have the whole Earth covered in ice.
Okay, thank you. Deepti, how do carbon dioxide molecules absorb IR radiation?
Carbon dioxide molecules have a dipole. This allows them to bend, twist, or stretch. This creates vibration energy, which is then converted into thermal energy.
Okay, and Pawandeep, which gases are greenhouse gases?
The greenhouse gases are methane, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and water vapor.
Okay, thanks. Harmeet, what is GWP?
GWP stands for global warming potential. It's basically related to how the lifetime of a gas and the ability of that gas and to absorb IR radiation. Some chlorofluorocarbons absorb IR radiation very efficiently compared to carbon dioxide, but lucky for us that they're in much smaller concentration of CFCs in the atmosphere compared to carbon dioxide, so overall carbon dioxide has a bigger effect.
Okay, and Paramverpa, what evidence is there for climate change?
When fossil fuels are burnt, carbon dioxide is released and resulting in a much warmer climate, and this has led to melting of glaciers, and this has resulted in a heavier rainfall and rivers overflowing, which has resulted in destructive floods and storms in tropical areas especially. The Arctic ice and permafrost is disappearing, and glaciers in Europe are disappearing, and they have resulted in extreme heat waves. Hurricanes and storms are also experienced in the USA.
Okay, thanks. Devinder, what processes produce carbon dioxide?
Processes that produce carbon dioxide emissions are reactions like combustion. For example, most combustion reactions take place in engines that require fuel, like in cars.
Okay. And Amandeep, what processes remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere?
Carbon capture and storage captures CO2 from power stations and stores it away safely. This is an immediate strategy to get rid of the gas. Also, underground porous rock can act as a sponge to store the gas and keep it from leaking, and the carbon cycle keeps it at a steady state.
Okay, thanks. Mariam, I'm going to get you to outline the EU strategies for reducing carbon dioxide emissions.
In 2007, the EU agreed a long-term strategy on energy policy in an attempt to lead the world in the fight against global warming. The deal sets the following binding targets. At least 20% of the energy used in the EU will come from renewable energy sources by 2020. At least 10% of the fuels used in transport will be biofuels by 2020. The EU greenhouse gas emissions will be reduced to 2% below 1990 levels by 2020. In 2007, the UK published a draft climate bill, and also the EU has also set in place certain policies.
Okay. Next, Mahir, how can we reduce carbon dioxide emissions from cars?
We can do this by employing several tactics, one of them being legislation. From 2012, new cars must emit no more than 130 grams of carbon dioxide for every kilometre travelled. This is a reduction of 32 grams per kilometre since 2005. Another thing that we can do is by using biofuels more often in the production of new cars, as these are carbon neutral.
Okay, thank you. And Is it possible to generate electricity without burning fossil fuels? Sunny?
We can generate electricity by using wind turbines in windy places like Scotland. Nuclear power stations, they're renewable and cheap, and they have raw materials.
Thank you. There's something called carbon capture and sequestration, and Shirsandu, can you tell us about that?
CCS and sequestration is virtually the same thing. It's seen as an immediate solution to remove waste carbon dioxide from industrial reactions. Underground porous rock, old unused oil and gas fields are amazing natural containers for these gases to be pumped into.
Okay, thanks. And Aisha, can you tell us something about mineral storage?
This idea that carbon dioxide reacts with calcium oxide to form calcium carbonate, which is a limestone.
Okay, good. And Diraj, why is it a bad idea for countries like Brazil to cut down rainforests?
It's an extremely bad idea, as there's not many trees left in the world at the moment, and trees take in carbon dioxide, and by cutting down rainforests, more carbon dioxide would be in the atmosphere.
Okay. And Natasha, can you tell us a bit about the Kyoto Protocol?
The Kyoto Protocol is an agreement that was signed in 1997 by over 100 countries worldwide. The agreement committed countries to reduce their emissions of 6 greenhouse gases by 5% in 2012.
Okay. And finally, Ratna, can you tell us about how we can try and reduce global warming as individuals?
We can reduce public transport and start walking and biking to places more. We can also recycle more often, reduce burning coal, oil and natural gases.
Okay, thanks. So, in summary, I think global warming is a problem. Okay, it is happening. There is evidence it's taking place, but we can all do something about it.